Torn between two lives, in 2025, I'm left questioning my heart. You need to show me you care, my partner says, while I'm haunted by memories of an ex who treated me like gold. Is it postpartum grief or the sinking realization I married the wrong man? My heart is shattered. I am so lost and confused, and I just need to get this off my chest. I do not want to discuss this with anyone who knows me, and it is driving me insane. I have been with my current partner since the summer of 2023, and I met him in the summer of 2022. We crossed paths by chance through friends. I was immediately attracted to him. He seemed incredibly handsome. We went on a date at the end of 2022 and kept things casual until we made it official in 2023. I was head over heels for him, but I have come to realize now that I do not love him anymore. I am struggling with this because we have been living together since the end of 2023. I found out I was pregnant at the beginning of 2024 and gave birth to our baby girl later that same year. Now it is 2025. I have been trying to rekindle my love for him, but it is not working, and it is making me miserable. I cry every day on my way to work and when he is not around. Back in 2023, shortly after we started dating, I caught him talking to other girls, which broke my heart. I cried for days and forgave him, but it was never the same. Then, at a family party weekend, he got too drunk and disclosed personal details about our relationship. It was humiliating and embarrassing, causing some drama for which his father apologized to me. I cannot go into much detail because it might reveal my identity. I forgave him for that as well. Then came the time when we moved in together. It was the end of 2023, and my job became chaotic due to the holidays. I was working 5 12-hour shifts or 6 11-hour shifts. I came home exhausted. He took almost the entire month off and stayed at home. I would return to a house with dirty dishes, no food, and him engrossed in video games, playing all day. When I mentioned it, he would say, "It is my vacation, I'm trying to enjoy it." I would wake up at 6 a.m. and leave at 7 a.m. for work, not returning until around 7 p.m. I had to wash dishes and pick up around the house while he continued to play video games. I also had to prepare food and get ready for work the next day. This continued throughout the duration of his vacation. We constantly fought, and I regretted living together. However, we somehow worked through it. At the beginning of 2024, I discovered I was pregnant. We brought his dog to live with us in the second month of the year. I struggled significantly with my pregnancy. It was nearly impossible for me to sleep with his dog around. I would get only 2 to 4 hours of sleep each night because she woke me up constantly. He was accustomed to her, so he slept just fine. I was exhausted and dozed off at work so much that I feared I would get fired. Therefore, I took a break from work and stayed home more during my first trimester. He became upset about this and accused me of cheating, coming home and asking questions like, "What do you do at home all day?" Or "Who do you have over?" It got so bad that I stopped speaking to him and began sleeping on an inflatable mattress in another room. Eventually, I had a breakdown during one of our arguments. It took me shaking and struggling to breathe for him to understand. We discussed it, and he apologized, but I have not been able to forget how he treated me. I explained that I was exhausted, and if I did not rest, our baby would not either. The intense emotions were not good for the baby. He showed more compassion toward his dog, saying, "Poor thing, she is old, and you need to be patient," while I was carrying his child, and he seemed to care more about the dog's feelings. He eventually gave the dog to family during my third trimester after we discussed how neither of us would have time to care for her once our baby was born. We had the gender reveal, and he did not help at all. He left the day before to get a haircut, leaving me alone to gather everything with just my mother. He came home late as I was preparing snacks and did not go to the store until the morning of the reveal, leaving me alone again. This resulted in me running around by myself to get everything ready. I ended up having a breakdown 2 hours before the party. He arrived home, asked what was wrong, and ended up getting upset with me. I had to pull myself together, reapply makeup, and just go on with it. He was not helpful at all during the event. He simply sat with his friends and even left with a friend to smoke. I was unhappy, and others could tell, which was obvious in the pictures. Fast forward to the baby shower. Since we had talked, he did better, but he spent the whole day complaining about things like why we needed so many items, what it was all for, and when we would be done. It annoyed me, but I just brushed it off. In my last month of pregnancy, he was attentive, and he supported me during labor and for a brief time afterward. His family lives further away, and mine was extremely busy post-pregnancy. I needed help because I had a cesarean section, and I was in significant pain and extremely swollen. I was so swollen that I could not bend my legs. I still had to clean and cook around the house. I would ask him to help me cook, but he would just say he did not know how. I often felt hungry but was unable to get in my car to go out for groceries or food. He never went grocery shopping or thought to bring me food. He bought me food maybe 15 times, but that was only because I complained. I should add that I did not cook before and learned how after moving in with him. I eventually discovered that he had messaged a girl in July and another in November, just 2 months after our baby was born, after checking his Facebook. I know I should not have checked his phone. I am not sure about his other social media accounts, as Facebook was all I could access. He is also constantly searching for girls on Facebook and most likely just creeping on their pages. I have a friend who is very attractive and whom he has met. He has casually brought her up a few times and even searched for her online. I apologize for the length of this, but I am trying to provide as much context as possible. Now we are in 2025. I have experienced some issues regarding the lack of support I receive at times. He has never given our baby a bath, helped prepare her food, or trimmed her nails. He assists when I ask him to, but I want him to take initiative on his own. He has begun to cook a bit, but only for himself. I should mention that he smokes. On his days off, he goes outside to smoke 3 times a day. Before our baby arrived, he used to smoke for about 40 to 50 minutes, but now he spends over an hour or sometimes nearly 2 hours outside. He claims he gets distracted on his phone. This leaves me tending to our baby alone for about 3 to 5 hours at a time. While he gets his free time, I never seem to catch a break. I told him this once, and he claimed he does give me breaks. I explained that watching our baby while I shower, cook, get things ready, or clean is not a break. He argued otherwise. I have caught him gaslighting me a few times. When we fought over his dog, he would say, "If my sisters knew this, they would hate you." However, when I brought it up with them, they sided with me, stating that my well-being was more important than the dog's because I was pregnant. A recent incident involved our neighbors. We live in an apartment complex. I mentioned once that the baby of the upstairs neighbors was always crying and asked how he did not hear it. He told me there was no baby and that I was imagining things. This made me feel crazy because I could clearly hear their baby. Later that same week, he admitted that yes, they had a baby and that it cried. I asked him why he made me feel as though I were going insane, and he simply said it was funny. Recently, we have been okay with no fighting. However, he complains about the lack of intimacy. I just do not wish to be intimate with him. He does not show me affection unless he wants to be intimate. To the point, I am uncertain about his feelings for me, but I no longer have feelings for him. I care about him, and we have good times together, but it feels more like that of good friends and co-parents to me now. Since I have fallen out of love with him, I find myself thinking about my ex. I met my ex through online dating in 2021, we dated briefly, and the relationship ended at the beginning of 2022. I do not believe I ever stopped having feelings for my ex, but my current partner made me forget a bit. I still think about my ex occasionally, but now he occupies my mind constantly. I keep reminiscing about our time together. He was affectionate and treated me well. We were only together for half a year, but I fell quickly, and my heart was broken when he ended things. He was experiencing problems when I met him. He was just moving into a new place and was having issues with his ex. They had 2 children together, and she often did not allow him to see them, causing him depression. He could not do much about it because the police told him he needed to resolve it in court, even though they had shared custody. However, I admired how he prioritized his children. He cooked, cleaned, and did what he should as a father. I can understand why he might have ended things with me. I was not being what he needed. I received terrible dating advice from 2 friends at the time. I was new to dating and was advised to go out and demonstrate that I was not waiting around for him. I was a bit toxic. Those 2 girls are no longer my friends. I feel that maybe we met at the wrong time. He still had unresolved issues with his ex, as did I. I lost my virginity to the man before him. I was with him for about 6 months, but he caused me significant damage. He was abusive, controlling, and manipulative. I had not yet healed from that relationship because he broke me down to someone I did not recognize. I need advice because my ex has been on my mind for weeks now. I do not know anything about him, but I am still in love with him. I have been checking his social media. I keep dreaming about him and cannot sleep at night because of it. During the few instances of intimacy I have with my partner, I find myself thinking of my ex. This is causing me immense anxiety and stress. I wake up thinking about my ex, he consumes my thoughts throughout the day, and I fall asleep with him on my mind. I am uncertain whether it was ever truly love for my partner. Perhaps it was all an illusion in my mind. Looking back, I now acknowledge that I ignored many red flags, which contributed to my loss of interest. Now I find myself out of love and unhappy. I simply do not know what to do. If I keep silent, I may become miserable, or perhaps I will eventually fall back in love with him, maybe? If I bring this up, I risk ruining what we have now, and perhaps it is just a postpartum issue? I think I am more afraid of being alone and starting over, especially with a baby. The idea of reaching out to my ex has crossed my mind, but I know I will not do it. I can accept that we probably will not end up together. I just do not know how to navigate my current situation. We have plans to elope, but I need advice. I can tell he loves me, he can be difficult, but he loves me. I just do not feel the same. I would also be breaking my child's family by speaking up about my feelings. I do not want to stay with him solely because we have a baby together. This situation is becoming increasingly unbearable for me. I am constantly crying and stressing so much that I cannot sleep. I also feel guilty towards him. I am completely lost. I need to know what to do. Any advice is welcome. Story 2. My long-distance girlfriend's sleepovers with her former roommates have me feeling insecure. It was just platonic, she said, but seeing them cuddling and kissing made me question everything. Can I trust her with my heart when my past keeps telling me otherwise? Am I overreacting by feeling insecure about my long-distance girlfriend's friends? I am using a throwaway account here. I am simply seeking some helpful advice. My questions are: 1. Is it reasonable for me to feel insecure about this situation? 2. What are some strategies that I, or we, can implement to manage that insecurity? Context. I am a 23-year-old male and I met a woman, who is a 20-year-old female, 2 months ago. We connected exceptionally well and neither of us has ever felt this way about someone before. On the second night after we met, we both agreed that we envisioned a future together and that we should enter into a serious long-term relationship. The catch is that, although we grew up in the same hometown, her studies have taken her to a city that is 5,000 miles away, making our relationship very long distance for the foreseeable future. However, our connection was so strong that we both felt it was worth pursuing. After she left, we spoke for 4 to 5 hours every single day. The more we learned about each other's personalities, tastes, values, goals, and opinions, the deeper in love we fell. I was fortunate enough to afford a series of plane tickets to visit her for a weekend, which we both agreed was the most magical weekend of our lives. She is planning to spend this summer in our hometown so that we can explore our connection together, and I could not be more excited. I adore this girl, and I genuinely believe I could marry her. I am aware that this relationship is progressing rapidly, that we are both quite young, and that long-distance new relationships are not exactly a formula for success. However, I love this woman. I hold her in high regard as an intellectual and as a person. I could talk to her for days on end. She makes me feel cherished in a way I have never experienced before. I love myself when I am with her. She is so intelligent, so amusing, and so kind. I feel that she understands me and loves me for who I truly am. She makes me feel that my affection for her is reciprocated. I recognize that I am taking a significant risk by investing in this relationship, but I have a strong gut feeling, one that I felt the night we met, that letting her go would be the greatest mistake I would ever make. The problem? Up until last week, we continued to have long conversations several times a day. Last week was particularly busy for her socially on campus, and she also hosted her former roommates in her studio apartment while they visited her for a week. She was busy and understandably had less time for phone calls with me. It is important to note that I trust my girlfriend, without exception. I respect her enough to take her word as absolute truth. However, I grapple with trust issues stemming from past relationships, and despite my trust in my girlfriend, there have been a few things I have observed that have triggered feelings of insecurity for me. 1. When my girlfriend hosted her former roommates, both of whom are 20-year-old females, all 3 of them shared the same bed. I never specifically asked her if she had a history with either roommate, but my girlfriend suggested that their relationship would be platonic. I trust her, yet the notion still makes me uncomfortable. It is worth mentioning that my girlfriend is bisexual and has had several girlfriends in the past. Is it reasonable for me to feel insecure about this situation, and if so, what can I do to alleviate this insecurity? 2. I also noticed that my girlfriend and her former roommates shared pictures on Instagram stories that depicted them drinking wine, cuddling, dancing, and kissing each other, which also made me feel uneasy. I understand that these are typical behaviors that many heterosexual girls engage in as well, but this is really the crux of my question. Is it reasonable and normal for me to feel uncomfortable in this situation, or is my insecurity rooted entirely in my own past experiences? Since noticing these things and feeling this way, I decided to share my feelings with my girlfriend. I gently conveyed that, despite my trust and respect for her, I felt insecure about her relationship with her roommates. I have never dated a bisexual woman before, and I am uncertain about what healthy boundaries are in same-sex friendships for someone who experiences same-sex attraction. My girlfriend was understanding and kind, Yet she was hurt by the implication that I was essentially questioning her fidelity. I do trust her, and the logical part of my mind would be astonished if she were actually involved in a sexual relationship with her former roommates. However, I continue to experience a nagging insecurity that I might not be entirely aware of what is happening. I want to ensure that both she and I feel better by fully restoring my trust in her. I want to address my insecurity, and any advice from those with experience dating bisexual individuals would be appreciated. Thank you for reading. TLDR. My long-distance bisexual girlfriend hosted her former roommates in her one-room apartment for a week. They all slept in the same bed and shared photos of each other drinking wine and kissing. This made me feel insecure. I told her that I trust her, but this made me uncomfortable. Am I overreacting?